Welcome to A State of Mind, Law, Legacy, and Life with Sunny.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to A State of Mind, conversations on law, love, and legacy with Sunny Rickard, principal attorney at Rickard Law, APC. Sunny works with families across California to create estate plans that provide clarity, continuity, and peace of mind for the people they care about most. I'm Sean O'Connor, and today, Sunny and I are going to walk through what actually happens after someone passes away with a living trust in place and how that process unfolds step by step. Sunny, welcome to the show, or welcome to the podcast. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Sean.
We'll get into this. Sort of brass tacks, right? Let's start with what's supposed to happen when someone passes away with a properly structured living trust here in California.
Thank you, Sean. This is actually one of my favorite topics to talk about because it's so practical. People usually don't think about it, don't think about the trust administration until they are suddenly in the middle of it. They are usually grieving or overwhelmed. So the more that people understand it, the better.
What are those first couple of things that happen? Again, properly structured living trust, they've done the right thing. It's all been dealt with in advance. What should they expect that first couple of days, that week, whenever, after a loved one or family member has passed?
It's a great place to start. So someone passed away in California with a properly funded and a properly structured living trust. The goal, and I want to emphasize the word goal, is that their asset can transition to their loved ones smoothly, privately, and with the family stay intact. So now a lot of people focus on the probate avoidance as their main reason to have a trust. Of course, avoiding probate is absolutely one of the most important benefit, but it's not the only one. A well-structured trust also provide asset protections for the beneficiaries, and just as importantly, it promotes a family harmony. So I think there's three things together are really what we trying to achieve. Here's what looked like, I think, in practice. While the person was alive, they signed a trust document. The document named them as a trustee during their lifetime, and it named someone else, usually the spouse or adult children, or someone that's a professional fiduciary, to step in as a successor trustee when they passed away or they became incapacitated.
Wow.
So the moment those original trustee or the trustor dies, then the successor trustee automatically has a legal authority to act unless that they wants to resign from the office as trustee. They don't need a judge's permission. They don't need to file a petition in the court. They don't need to wait for 6 to 9 months to get the letter from the court. They basically comes directly from the trust, and automatically becomes the person in charge. So the second piece, and this is the part that sometimes trips people up, is that the trust has not actually owned the assets. We can later talk about the trust funding. Just signing the trust isn't enough. The house has to be deeded into the trust. The bank accounts have to be titled into the trust, investment account as well. And most importantly, if you have a business interest, that business interest also has to be transferred into the trust as well. So on the asset protection side, a well-drafted trust can shield the beneficiaries from the creditors, from their divorce, from the lawsuit, and also often from very poor financial decisions. So the ideal is a clean, private, relatively efficient transfer that respect the family's privacy, protect the inheritance, and honor the wishes of the person who passed on. So when everything is set up the way it should be, the California Trust Administration can be a really dignified process.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, Sonny mentioned the trustee that, is automatically put in charge after the trustor passes. Are there specific responsibilities that a trustee needs to focus on in the days and weeks after the death?
Yeah, I think the first thing I like to tell the trustee is take a deep breath. You don't have to do everything immediately in the first 72 hours. There's grief, there are funeral arrangements, there are family members flying in. The legal and administrative work can wait for a few days, a couple of weeks, and nothing will fall apart if you take a week or two to start. That said, there are a handful of things that should happen in the first few weeks. The very first practical step is getting a certified copy of the death certificate. In California, the funeral homes or the mortuary usually orders those for you. I usually tell the trustee to always order more than they think they need, usually somewhere between 10, maybe 10 to 12 copies. For
Really?
real property Yeah, because for real property transactions, you definitely need the original certified copy of that certificate. And many institutions, financial the banks, title companies, retirement accounts, they are going to want original certified copy
Ah,
as well.
that
So
makes sense.
yeah, so you don't want to run out. And then for persons have overseas assets, it's also very important that the death certificate is issued by the county. It means that actually it says that this is issued by the recorders or assessors from the county, not just signed by MD, a doctor. The
Okay.
reason is if you want to deal with overseas properties, that death certificate need to be go through the apostle and go through the apostle process. They only accept the death certificate that has been certified by the county. So that's the only documents the Secretary of State can accept. And then after the apostles process actually is authenticate the certified copy to for the uses in the overseas. So that's also very important. So you have to look at the death certificate, make sure that's issued by the county. Um, so the next trustee should locate the original trust documents. And if there's any amendments and the pour-over wills and any related estate planning documents, read them. Actually read them. I know that's I know that sounds obvious, but you will surprise how many trustees actually jump into the action without fully understand what the document says. So the the trust this document is a rule book, and everything you do as a trustee has to be aligned with it. So then there's something I emphasize, especially with the blended family and with families that have any complexity at all. I strongly recommend a family meeting. The trustee should sit down with all the beneficiaries, if in person, if possible, and work through what's going to happen next and provide every beneficiary with a copy of the trust. So be transparent, um, about who the trustee is and what the trust says, because
Yeah.
you have to review that eventually.
Mhm.
And yeah, and if the deceased has a surviving spouse and children from the prior marriages or stepchildren or beneficiaries who don't know each other very well, this meeting is absolutely critical. Most trust disputes I see do not start because of bad intentions. They start because somebody feel left alone, feel left in the dark. So a family meeting at the very beginning when all the documents on the table, and the trustee answer the questions openly, prevent enormous amount of conflict down the road.
That's great advice.
Yeah, and also there are some protective steps the trustee can take. For example, secure the home, especially change the lock if necessary. Especially when the home is going to sit empty for a while, and if the trustee need to check the pensions and annuity payments, if they need to be addressed, and definitely notify the Social Security, forward the mail, those kind of things. Trustee need to be those things need to be done as soon as possible. Um, so, which is unique to California is the trustee's core fiduciary duties under the probate code. The trustee must send a formal notification to all the beneficiaries and to the deceased person's legal heirs. Um, actually within 60 days after the deceased death. That notice triggered a 120 days window for anyone who wants to contest the trust. So giving a notice, providing a copy to trust beneficiaries, communicating openly, acting in compliance with the laws and the trust provisions, and keeping the trustee's own interest separate from the trust interest. All these are the fiduciary duties the trustee must obey.
That's super helpful. Really nice, nice summation of all of that. You mentioned, Sonny, owning real property, maybe property in other states or other countries. How does a trustee typically identify, gather information, document these assets? Is it, you know, are is that to have been done by the person who created the trust in the first place, or can you speak to that?
The ideal situation, of course, is the trustor, the person who set up this trust was very organized, and they
Mm,
provide the guidance. They provide a list of the properties that has been titled into the trust. They provide the bank statements. They provide a copy of the deeds.
mhm.
But if that didn't happen, then this part is like a detective work.
Ah,
The trustee's job is to figure out what deceased person owned and whether it's inside or has not been funded into trust yet. Another important thing is the value of those assets at the time of death. So I always recommend the trustee starting with all sort of paperworks. And in these days, and which oftentimes means the digital paperworks,
mhm.
pull a year or two of the old mails, like the email inbox, if you have access, find the tax returns. And I need to say that the tax returns is a gold mine because they shows all the accounts that produce income and same time may have a brokerage account informations.
Mhm.
Talk to the CPA or their financial advisors, and those people usually have a lot of information about the deceased asset as well. And from there, the trustee usually should start a master kind of inventory. You can keep it simple as spreadsheet, but the spreadsheet need to list the each assets, the institution that holding the asset, the account numbers, and maybe the address of the property, the
Mhm.
APN number of the real property, the contact person, um, their information, the bank, who can you contact, their emails, their phone numbers, and how it was titled. It was under the trust name or it was under individual's name, and also the date on death values. So the titling piece is what determined actually whether something is a trust asset or is not. If the deeds to the house says John Smith, the trustee of the Smith Family Trust, yeah, that house is in the trust. But if it says that John Smith, unmarried man, then the property is not in the trust. Um, so um, if that's a situation, the property was not titled in the trust, they might still trigger a probate. You
I
can,
see.
yeah, if the property was not that complicated, it's just by oversight, maybe one or two properties did not fund it in the trust. You can use a Hextad partition. It's a simplified probate process to bring those assets into the trust after the fact. Um, so, and then there are other assets like the retirement account, the IRAs, the 401ks, life insurance. Those assets actually might not pass to the trust. Actually, most of the time, it should not pass to the trust. It should be passed to the beneficiary by the beneficiary designation.
Right.
Who
That you
the
can do
yeah,
on
so,
those accounts. Right. Right.
right. Yeah, some
Got it.
pay out that bank account, and definitely the IRAs, the 401ks,
Mhm.
should have beneficiaries. But in some situation, the trust might be the beneficiary over the like life insurance or the 401k. Yeah, so then actually that becomes part of the trust asset.
Got it. Got it. Super helpful. With so much just helpful actionable information, and with just Sunny, the couple of minutes we have left here, I want to ask one thing for for people who are out there listening, watching this. They're reviewing their estate plan, or they're about to they want to call you and they want to get one done, perhaps, right? Um, what what specific details should they look at so that they can feel confident that their trust will function smoothly for their family? Let's leave listeners with that, with a few tips on that.
I think that the people come to me. The first thing I want to know is their family dynamics, their
Huh?
blended family, and the secondly is their goals of the estate planning. What's their they only want to avoid probate, or they want to provide the as a protection for the children, and of course their assets, the
Hmm.
composition of their assets, their real property, bank account, um, the investment account, retirement, life insurance, and the one thing that the people overlooked all the time is the business interest. So you really have to consider all of this information all together. Sometimes distribute the trust asset is very important component of setting up the trust. Funding those properties into the trust, of course, is also just as important. And you have to keep in mind that passing the asset is not only goal. Sometimes passing your values to your future generations and keep the family harmony, avoid kind of conflict in the future is also very important consideration when you're setting up the trust.
Absolutely. That's a great checklist. And I love the transparency you spoke of, and managing family dynamics, and making sure that everybody, is aware of uh the wishes, as expressed in the trust. So great to talk to you, Sonny. Thanks for sharing your expertise. And I know we'll talk again in the near future. So have a great day.
You too, Sean. Thank you for having me.
That's it for today's episode of A State of Mind Conversations on Law, Love, and Legacy. If you want to learn more about how a well structured trust can help your family navigate the administration process with clarity and confidence, visit the website rickardlawapc.com. And if you found this episode helpful, maybe subscribe, leave a review, share a link with someone in your world who would benefit from it. I'm Sean O'Connor. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.